Have you ever wanted to look like this? Okay, well, here goes nothing. What the mosquito? Oh! But you always end up looking like this instead. No! I didn't get out in time! No! Well, do I have great news for you? Well, you're never going to be able to look like that because I'm probably just the best. But I'm going to be going through an entire guide for this game. There's a lot of confusing things because the game doesn't explain too much. A lot of like hidden things, a lot of what does this do? What does this do? I am going to be going over all of it with you, and there's a good chance I might miss something that you're confused about. Be sure to leave a comment down below, and I will try to either reply to that comment, or if I feel it deserves an entire new video, I'll put out an entire new video. But regardless, this is going to be the ultimate guide, the one-stop shop for everything Have a Nice Death related. Obviously, new content will be coming out very soon, so subject to change. But if you want to be caught up on all the new stuff, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because I can assure you when new content comes out, I will be covering that in grave detail. Now, if you want to see me do some runs live, you can check out the Twitch channel down below. Add 3 to 4 inches to your penis soft, not erect, because we here at Mako are all showers, not growers, baby. Intimidate the opponent. But regardless, hopefully you enjoy this guide. Let me know what you think, and let me know if I missed anything down below in the comments, like I said. And yeah, I'm excited to get into it, so let's hop into it.
So, the first thing I want to talk about is this picture you are looking at here. Also, don't mind the voice. I am a little bit sick, but the grind never stops. So, what you're looking at is a picture of some upgrades, some curse upgrades, and you notice something that confused me at first, so I'm going to explain it. The Scythe and the Cloak are two separate things, and the Scythe is pretty self-explanatory. It's your main weapon, but the Cloak, it doesn't really say what the Cloak is, so I'm going to explain real quick. The Scythe is your main hand weapon, the Scythe that you use. The Cloak is the offhand weapon, okay? Now, there's a difference between, like, an offhand weapon and an offhand spell. A good indicator is if something uses mana, it is probably a spell. If it doesn't, it is probably a weapon and is considered a cloak weapon. So, if you're using an offhand weapon, it will get the bonuses that you get for the cloak. A good example is this clip right here, just to kind of show you something more than just a picture. I have a bow and I have an explosion spell. The explosion spell is a spell, it uses mana, does damage, whatever. The bow, however, is a weapon. So the bow will get all of the cloak benefits that you get throughout the run. So if you have a really good offhand weapon, then maybe you want to put most of your upgrades into the cloak damage and just more cloak upgrades in general. So once again, the cloak is an offhand weapon, not spell. This does not affect spells, but it affects offhand weapons. So this kind of confused me at first. So hopefully this will help you out a little bit, but I just wanted to start with this as our first tip here. So as you're walking along after you just defeat a boss, you'll stop by the break room and you'll see the fridge. And what was that? It was something in the fridge. Wow. In this example, it is overly mature cheese. Not much fun to be around, but great for your bank account. Plus 5 defense for 2 minutes. And it might be like, wow, 5 defense for 2 minutes? Let's grab this, right? This is great. But, spoiler alert, for the entire run, you only get one thing from the fridge in the break room. If you use it now, then after every boss in the future, there will be nothing else in the fridge. So, usually it's a good idea to wait and save it for when you think you really need it, going into the last area, or if you have a really bad floor and you're like, yeah, I should probably just take this now. Taking it and using it to its highest potential rather than taking it and for the rest of the run not having a chance to get anything after bosses. But this is a really important one, and all of the things in the fridge, there's a multiple multitude of different things that can spawn. All of the different things in the fridge are determined by the base set that you have, and where the place where you unlock new weapons, there's also a tab to unlock food items as well. So there's plenty of options there to add more things to the pool. But once again, remember, you can only take one throughout the entirety of the run, so make sure you use it wisely. The next thing we're going to be talking about is bleed versus poison and burn, because poison and burn technically do the same thing. So there is a slight difference between the two, and I thought it was important to just touch on it and show you a quick clip here that has bleed and poison going on, bleed being the red, poison being the green. The important thing between the two is bleed does a stacking increased damage effect. So you hit an enemy once with a bleed ability, they take 1 extra damage. If you hit them again while they're bleeding, they'll take 2 extra damage. Hit them again 3, and so on up to the point where you reach max stacks, whatever that is for you. In the case here that is on this clip that's going to be replaying, 35 is our max stacks of bleed, so we stack it 35 times, and then from there on out, every time we hit him with a bleed ability, he will take an additional 35 damage. With poison and burn, it is a damage over time effect. So the 8 ticking damage that you can see, or whatever stack of poison we're at, that is the poison, and that is exactly how burn will react as well. So you hit an enemy with poison, it stacks the stack, and they will take damage over time until they are not poisoned anymore. In this example, our maximum stacks are 8. Whatever your maximum stacks are, that's how much damage they will take once you reach that until they're not poisoned. So I thought it was an important difference. For poison, you hit with the poison abilities, then they take the damage over time. For bleed, you have to be hitting with bleed abilities for the bleed to trigger. So thought it was just something important to talk about. Hopefully this helps, because I was kind of confused at first, but bleed is different. Poison and burn work the exact same. The next thing we're going to talk about is rooms in the game, because it might not be very obvious right away what the different rooms mean and what you get for going to each different area. So I'm going to be talking about that to help you guys out a little bit. So in this first picture here, we can see 2 rooms, the Solary Prismium Department and the Equipment Storage. In the Solary Prismium Department, you could get souls, you could get Prismium, or you could get both. Pretty simple. It says it right in the name, but that's essentially how that room works. In the next one, Equipment Storage, you will get a weapon or a spell to put in your build or not, up to you, but you will get at least 1 weapon or spell from the Equipment Storage. The next group of rooms that we see is the Prismium Deposit and the Vault. Now, the Prismium Deposit, once again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You will get a Prismium Shard from this area. Now, the Vault is the only real super wild card in the entire group, because, frankly, I don't know what it does, and even people I've asked that play the game don't know exactly what this room does. So if you're feeling like rolling the dice, then I'll be damned. Go ahead and go to the Vault, but I'm not 100% sure what that one does. But the Prismium Deposit will just give you Prismium. Okay, the next set of rooms here is a Thanager's office and a curse reroll department. So the Thanager's offices are all mini bosses. They will give you souls and a curse once you defeat them. So go at your own risk. And the curse reroll department is a place you can go to get either a floor drop that will allow you to reroll your curses when you get the options, or it'll give you a floor drop that allows you to basically nullify a negative effect from a curse. So you'll get one of those 2 things from the curse reroll department, and then the Thanager's office is just a mini boss. The next room we're looking at is the one on the bottom, because the other 2 we've already talked about, but that is the Solary Deposit. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. You just get souls. You'll find a little clump of souls on the ground, and you will get an extra grouping of souls to add to your total count. The next room here is, once again, the one on the bottom, and that is the HR office. Now, the HR office may be a little less self-explanatory than the others, but this one will give you a curse. It's not always directly in your route to the exit, so sometimes you have to search for one. But every time you go to the HR office, you are guaranteed to get another curse to add to your curse tree. All right, another set of 2 new ones here. We have the shop and the Vitamana department. Shop, pretty easy. You go to it, you can buy things, you can spend Prismium to re-roll the shop. There's weapons, there's heals, there's animas, there's all sorts of stuff that you can get from the shop. You use your souls to buy stuff, and once again, you can re-roll and refresh with Prismium. Now, the Vitamana department, you can either get max heal increase or max mana increase. Either or, sometimes both, but you are guaranteed to get at least one or the other every single time you go to that department. This next one is super easy. The hazardous floor with a question mark next to it is a random floor. You could get max health, you could get a weapon, you could get souls, you could get Prismium, you could get all sorts of stuff from this floor. So essentially, it is just a random floor if you want to roll the dice. And the last room in the game to talk about is the control room, which I'm going to be going into more detail on later, but essentially it's a place where you can upgrade and transform your weapons using your souls and Prismium. And like I said, not much to go over now, but these are kind of rare, so usually you want to go to them assuming you have a decent number of souls and or any Prismium to spend. Alright, for the next part of this guide, it's going to be a little bit more interactive here. I'm just going to be talking about how to use the Scythe, I guess, combos, charge attacks, and all sorts of different stuff. So the Scythe here, and every version of the Scythe, for when we talk about the different versions in the control rooms, has some sort of combo that you can do. The starting Scythe that you get is a 4 attack combo. You'll see like a side swipe, up, down, and like a finishing attack here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that entire combo is important for the reason of there are a few curse upgrades that you can get that will allow you to, that'll say like get bonus damage if you switch weapons mid combo. So if you're in the middle of the combo and then you right click, you know, your cloak weapon will get more damage, or your spell will do more damage, or whatever it is. You also get a charge attack, which every single Scythe has the same exact charge attack. You just hold down the left click or whatever your attack button is. And there's 2 forms of it. The first form, right there. And the second form, you'll see like a little extra change in your character. Right there. And boom. Done. Easy. So that's most of it. But there are also 2 other types of attacks. One of which I learned very early, one of which I didn't even know existed, and some of you might be like, why is this in the guide? This is pretty obvious. Well, it wasn't for me, so maybe it won't be for other people. But there's also not only a slam attack, so if you're in the air and you hold down and attack, you will slam. But if you hold down and attack while you're on the ground, it'll do something different. It's not a super like high damaging or anything attack, but it hits in front of you, it hits behind you, which is pretty convenient, as well as once you get a little bit more damage, it'll hit a couple of times, and that can be super useful. So there's also a down attack, so a slam and if you hold down, you will just kind of spam it here. And then there's also an up attack, which for the longest time, I was just jumping and attacking things. But there's an actual attack where if you hold the up button and press up, you actually do an attack. So, just something to note for enemies that are up in the air. We'll see if there's any... Oh, I guess, yeah. So if you're down here, you're like, oh, I need to get up. There you go. All you have to do is get up. Oh, enemy down here. Let's use our little attack right there. Regardless, knowing the combos and understanding what different types of attacks you have are important to understanding not only the best way to defeat most enemies, but also understanding how exactly you want to upgrade your curses and whatnot. Speaking of curses, we're also in this video going to talk about the curse tree here. So there are 3 different trees, as you can see, and they're all very different. Red usually means damage type of stuff. Blue usually means like, blue's kind of like a wild card of there's defense, there's health, there's
infusing poison or bleed into your attacks or whatever. And green is a lot of health, as well as some defense, some retaliation stuff. You get a lot of different options for each different tree. But looking at the shape of the tree and where these little purple things are can kind of give you an idea of how you want to build, because every area that has a little purple node has a penalty that comes with it. So if I was to get a green upgrade, then my next green upgrade will have a penalty that is associated with it. However, for the red and blue trees, especially the blue tree, there's only one area where I could get a curse, and you could get a ton of different upgrades without having to get this curse, whereas in this red tree, if you build all the way up to the top, you're going to have a lot of penalties that come with it. So it's just a way to kind of help you pre-plan and think, hey, how exactly am I planning on building my curses? And I will say, this will help us out perfectly. Let's infuse bleed. So it'll slot it into the slot here. And now, once again, we keep building. But it'll show you keep a running track of your bonuses and penalties. For those of you who are new to the game, curses, almost any chance you have to get a curse, you want to take it, because curses are game-changing and make or break runs. Like, you could use the starting weapon, but if you have the right curse, you're going to be just fine. So that's a pretty huge thing, and something to just keep in mind as you are playing the game. All right, so for the next part, we're going to be doing a little in-depth here in the control room, and probably also talking about healing as well, because those would be the last two topics to cover. And I feel like I have enough here to show you guys, kind of explain the healing system as best as I can. So this is the control room, and you talk to this giant Kool-Aid man, and you're greeted with a few options here to upgrade or transform. Now, as of right now, the only weapon you can transform is the Scythe. But something interesting here. The Scythe will normally just transform into a long-range weapon. But once you have unlocked the Parasol, then the first transformation will be the Parasol. And then there's also two other tiers of weapons that you can transform. Now, in order to transform something, you can only use Prismium. So, for example, let's go ahead and transform. And I'm actually going to keep it here. I'm not going to transform it again. But if I wanted to, it would be one more Prismium to transform. The Twinsy, in my opinion, is a significantly better upgrade than the Sickles. Sickles are really good if you're stacking bleed or poison, or you have like a ton of stacks of it. But other than that, they're really kind of hard to use and don't feel very smooth, whereas the Twinsies feel very smooth. So anyway, that's what you can do with Prismium in order to transform. Now, if we go to the upgrade section, you'll see all of your different things that you have. You'll see what happens if you upgrade them and any extra bonuses you get. Now, to upgrade weapons, you can use souls, as you can see here, 0 out of 50. Or you can spend Prismium in order to upgrade weapons at a much cheaper cost if you have a lot of Prismium like I do here. So for this example, I don't even have 50 souls. So we'll spend a Prismium to upgrade it. And then let's see. So normally after you upgrade something once, it would be 100 souls. But once again, it's still just one Prismium. And then it would be 150 souls for the third upgrade. But then again, still just one Prismium, which I had a lot of. So we're going to fully upgrade that. And now we've got ourselves a little Parasol here. I wonder if this has... What's this thing's... Oh, look at that. Isn't that fancy? Whee! I actually didn't know what... I wonder what this thing's ult is. Let me show off this ult. Let's just see what happens here. But essentially, that's the control room for you. It's not super difficult to understand. But just a few little tips and tricks for your first time going into the control room. Now, let's see what Brad's got for us. I don't know what this ult does because I've never used this version of the Scythe. So let's find out together.
Oh, it just rains on him. Interesting. Woo. Oh, what? And Brad's dead. See you later, Brad. So, I guess now we'll talk about healing. Because another, probably the most difficult and weird thing in the game is its healing system. Which is what makes abilities, like, or weapons that can heal, or lifesteal, stuff like that, super important. It's definitely a little bit different. So, let's take a look at our health bar right now. We've got this whole bar. We've got the fully white bar. We've got the gray bar. And we have this little black portion here at the end. So what are the differences? Well, you start with a maximum amount of health. When you take damage, your white bar will go down. And then what's left behind will be, more often than not, some gray bar. Now, the gray bar is what's known as injuries in the game. These can be healed with lifesteal. There's a little lifesteal drop that you can get to heal things. It could be healed by animas, which are the things that you can see up here. This little blue dot, which I'll show you in a second. And they can be healed by certain weapons or abilities or spells that can heal. There are also some spells that do full heals or pure heals, that not just injury heals. But a lot of the healing in the game will only be able to heal up to this gray bar, which for my estimates is at about 50, 45 maybe is where that gray bar is. It's kind of hard to tell. But you can only heal up to that amount. In order to get the rest of the health bar filled, you have to find stuff that is considered a pure heal. There are little coffee things that drop that'll say pure heal on them. There are some things that you can get out of the fridge, which we'll see if we can find one, that says pure heal on them. And pure heal, no, we didn't get lucky, of course. Pure heals will just heal that amount regardless of if it's an injury or if it's not an injury. So right now, let's say, for example, we got a... let's say the gray bar ends at 50, and let's say we got a 20 pure heal. Well, we'd go up to 46. The gray bar wouldn't move. There'd be nothing else here. We just got a 20 pure heal. It healed our injuries because that's how much we healed for. Now, let's say we got like a 50 pure heal. That would just fully fill up our bar. Fully fill it. Smack up to the top because that's 76, which is more than what we have, so it would fully fill out our health bar. Now, ooh, excuse me. The animas up here, there are two different types. The most common one is the blue, and that one only can heal injuries. Now, there's also a yellow anima, which is a pure heal for 25. It is a 25 pure heal, which is really, really convenient and really useful. Now, the blue anima here, as you can see, we're at 26. We'll pop it. We go to 41. Blue animas are 15 injury heal. So it will heal up to 15 health, assuming it is an injury and not part of the black bar as well. So, once again, healing is a little bit weird in this game, but it is what it is. There's not much you can... It is what it is. There's not much you can do about it. So, it's very interesting. Regardless, pure heals are what you want to look for. Animas are nice when you need them, but pure heals are what you want. And I think that's about it for this tips and tricks guide video. We went over a lot of different things. Like I said, I'm sure I missed stuff, so let me know down below if I missed anything. But thank you guys so much for the support, as always. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this game. Plenty more content on this and so many other games coming soon. So thank you guys for all the support. Hopefully you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.